So, Mr. President, welcome this morning to the YPO Davos Hub. With Brexit, maybe next week, climate change, geopolitical challenges and economic recession underway, the Northern European country of Lithuania lead by example, celebrating the fastest growing economy and the most wanted state to settle regulated fintechs. What is the success story of Lithuania? What does it take to promote socially balanced green growth in a digital-aware country? Let's follow the perspective of a chief economist who went on to become the commander-in-chief and president of Lithuania. So, Mr. President, it's the first time that you are in the World Economic Forum in Davos, and they greet you as the President of the Republic of Lithuania. What does it mean to you, and what are your first impressions here?
First of all, pleasure to see you all here, and really the pleasure to and the honor to be here for me for the first time. Everything is new for me because it's the first time, and new streets, new place. Crowd of people. I was impressed by the number of people here. 2,500, if I was told correctly, and of course so many events at the same time. You can be lost very easy in such a place. But my idea is to bring the success story of Lithuania, to try to explain it, although sometimes probably we do not have all the answers to explain the success story of last years. Probably it's understandable. And if you are talking about the Green Deal, about the digitalization of my country, I would tell you honestly that there were no special programs, strategies. Let's say we could find a concrete date, 2015 or 2014, the program of the government, to become or to set the priority to establish or to develop the digital economy in Lithuania. You will find anything. You will not find anything. But there were right persons at the right place, and they showed some high level of leadership. Especially I'm having in mind the central bank, Ministry of Finance. They set and initiated very sound and quite favorable for investments ecosystem as regards fintech regulation, in regards to startups. And now we have the result, and we have very good figures. For example, let me express it in statistic figures. Our digital economy is growing 3 times faster than overall economy, and this is already 5 years in a row. So you can imagine that this country is becoming really the hub for fintechs, for business centers from around the world, and this is a big achievement for us.
Thank you. Before becoming president, you had the position of chief economist in one of the major leading banks. What do you think about the main economic challenges of the European Union, and how do you see them to be addressed?
This is very deep and good question. And yes, I was in the bank as a chief economist for 18 years, you can imagine, from 2000 to 2018. So you can imagine that I saw the economy in different stages of the development. Before the membership in European Union, 2004, it was one story. Another story was after the 2004. Then probably there was third stage, very clear evidence stage of global financial crisis and complications in my country. And then I saw, being the chief economist, I saw the success story of restructure of our economy, restructuring of our economy in the last 3-4 years. So the differences are huge. It's difficult to imagine. And if you compare our companies with, let's say, the companies of 2002 or 2001, you will see the huge difference in regards to technologies, in regards to people skills, even overall culture of the company is totally different. And now what I saw, and even during my election campaign, I visited many companies in Lithuania. I saw such big investment in those companies. This is mass investment brought absolutely new technologies. But at the same time, I realized that probably there are certain ceilings on manufacturing industry. You can be as progressive as possible, but you cannot increase labor productivity in such company, let's say, by 8 or 9% each year. And what to do in this case? How to say release or to become free from this phenomena we call middle income trap. This is really a very serious problem in Eastern and Central Europe. And only one answer, only one possibility for a country like Lithuania was just to find new ways of the development. And those new ways are now fully at the full speed. Restructuring, Green Deal, green economy, green productivity, digitalization, fintech. And I can imagine that going that way, Lithuania will become, this is my, how to say, vision, green, peaceful, and innovative. I would like to see my country in 5, 10, or 15 years like that.
Bouncing back on green economy, digitalization on a complete country scale, that takes a lot of investments. What's the master plan, and how does Lithuania intend to find investors and attract them to achieve those goals?
You know, I can talk about it probably 2 hours, but I will make it shorter. And my guess, this is not the guess, this is the answer I know very well. People. First of all, people. If you would ask me to name 3 reasons, I would say the first reason is people, the second people, and third people. Because of talented pool of young persons, young generation, speaking usually 1, 2, 3 foreign languages. My daughter speaks Korean, French, English, and a little bit Spanish.
Wow.
But this is nothing special. Because you will find that people speaking Swedish and English, French at the same time. Unfortunately, German-speaking persons, not so many, but fortunately, I am such person. I have studied in Germany a long time ago. So those people are ready to take all the challenges they can, and they are ready, they are flexible. They studied in good high schools, not only in Lithuania, but abroad too. And I remember my last visit in New York. I met the CEO of NASDAQ. And yes, we a little bit spoke about the experience of NASDAQ in Lithuania. And my question to here was, how did you decide to choose Lithuania instead of our country? And the answer was very honest and clear. We found the right person to take responsibilities to become the general manager in the country. And it was Arminta Solodžienė, forename and name of the person, of the great woman. And so they started such a way. And then they developed, they found critical mass of employees. And I think those stories, you can repeat those stories in everywhere. Global financial centers. And, today I will meet Mr. Unfortunately, it's difficult to pronounce his name, but leader, yes, HCL Technologies, CO, and probably the same stories, the same reasons. Yes, the regulation system is needed. Yes, the friendly attitude of the government is needed. Yes, the macroeconomic and political stability is precondition, but having those conditions, critical issue becomes people.
You mentioned about Green Deal, and as we look the whole European class, you lead the march with countries like Denmark, Spain, Portugal, who actually have very large wind farms, but you're really at the top. What does it take for a country like Lithuania still, besides people, of course, to really go green and lead the march?
I think this is our chance to become modern country. I wouldn't say that we are fully prepared for a Green Deal, and right now we have some ecological scandals in the country. But as I say, it's very good that we have scandals, because those violations of the rules, they are already for 8 or 10 years. And now such scandals coming up, they show that we started to fight against it. So this is one thing. The second thing is, this is good chance for Lithuania to be a country which produces high value added, and to the way out of middle income trap. This is important. And as I mentioned already in one discussion 2 days ago about the Central and Eastern European economies, the green investment or Green Deal means huge money, of course. We already calculated that until 2030, we will have to invest about 14 billion euros into the transitional goals going forward to the carbon neutral economy in 2050. So until 2030, we need 14 billion euros for such country like mine is big money, 41 billion euros until 2050. So it's close to our total GDP, overall GDP in Lithuania. But I would like to stress that this money is not the expenditures in the classical sense of this word. This money is investment. Investment into green-led productivity, into green environment, into higher living standard, living culture, living quality. So, and I think this money will pay off, and long-term return will be clearly positive. What is the matter of concern that European Union, and you asked about the perspectives of European Union, I think Green Deal will be the example where Europe will show the leadership, very clear leadership. But unfortunately, in this field, it's very difficult to be a leader alone. You need the contribution of the rest of the world. And if there will be no contribution, there will be no final result. We cannot change the climate situation by going alone. And in this case, this is very important that we will create a level playing field, and to create the conditions for the fair competition. Because I can express it in a very concrete example. We have very close from Lithuania border, Belarusians start to build a nuclear power plant. And they will produce nuclear energy, violating necessary conditions, quality standards, and of course, if they will not invest into safety of this nuclear power plant, probably this electricity will be cheap. But what does it mean for the security, for the safety of Lithuania, and for the safety of whole region? So the competition is not fair. In such cases, we have to try to separate us from such electricity power plants, and to try to build European energy market in order to trade with each other and to let them to be alone. But this is big threat for Lithuania that brings additional political, ecological costs for Lithuania, and we are very active in international field, trying to convince our partners that this NPP is big threat not only for Lithuania or for Baltic countries, but also for the whole Europe. Let's remember Chernobyl.
Thank you. So this is very inspiring, and thank you also for within the country recognizing the mistakes of the past, because as it's been said a lot in the street here, if we want to fix the problem, we need to understand that we are initially part of the cause of the problem. And I hope that YPO Lithuania can continue to help us pushing YPO Belarusia so that we get responsible in YPOs that do impact investment, and we get some people in Minsk that have different mindset so that we don't get, as you said very well, around the corners, things that are totally against the direction that we want to take and go green. I wanted to take a moment and pause and congratulate you and Lithuania as well for having that first sailing boat that is going to go to the ocean this year on the Ocean Race 2021. I think you got a competitive edge because you're putting Rokas on the boat. I think Rokas here, right? So you put the best on the. But this is really inspiring because it's of course dedicated to the protection of the oceans and the prevention of plastic waste. And Regimentas has also been a leading actor into that. This is a cause that is important also to the government of Lithuania. And I understand you also have a Lithuanian that is in charge in Europe. Am I right? Yes.
Yes, Virginijus Sinkevičius became the Commissioner for Environment, Climate Change, Fishery and Oceans. And I would tell the age of this man, 29 years old.
Wow.
Can you imagine? He will be by far the most youngest commissioner in the history of European Commission. But of course, he is very potential man, and I think he will do a lot in order to show the full awareness and full commitment to implement the Green Deal goals. And I think he will take very serious responsibilities in the cabinet of Madam von der Leyen. And for us, the Ocean Race, and of course, Rokas Milevičius' participation is a huge and very big chance to show our commitment against the plastic waste, against this misbehavior of humanity, and I think this is great honor for us to be the part of this event.
Thank you. I think you can be really proud to be the fastest growing economy, the most wanted state to settle those regulated fintech. And as you mentioned, people. But as also coming from a small country, I'm Belgian, I'm a European lover, as you can imagine, resident of Brussels. Any recipe beyond people for that successful model to really bright and shine in Europe?
Yes, absolutely. Ką čia man dar pasakyti? Recipes, tai recepts, tai I would say that the priorities should be, as announced by the new cabinet of Madam von der Leyen, and I think we will be very good in the implementing of Green Deal tasks. I see some problems in the European Union, and I wanted to tell a little bit more about it in the Davos format, about the decision-making process in Europe. Yes, of course, on one hand, I am the fan of enlargement of European Union, but sometimes I get the impression that discussing many issues in the European Council, this number of countries sitting at the table, it becomes sometimes a problem. Not because of the length of the meetings, but because it's more and more difficult to find the compromises. And for example, the last example was just a discussion about the necessity to invite to start negotiations for North Macedonia and Albania. 25 countries were for it, and 3 countries, unfortunately, not. And the decision was not taken. But I don't think this is a structural problem. We can solve this problem, but there are also some problems with the leadership. Sometimes we react too slow, too little. Especially, I am having in mind such conflicts like in Libya, Syria, and Middle East crisis regulation. The European Union can be the leader and equal part of decision making together with United States and China and Russia, but sometimes we lose those opportunities, and this is pity. I think we have to change our behavior and take more responsibilities, more leadership on our hands, and everything will be fine. I think Europe has very promising future, but we must learn from our past, from our mistakes, and I think we have good chances to improve.
Thank you. Before I go to the floor for a few questions, allow me really to share my experience as outgoing global chair of YPO of Lithuania. As a European by heart, as you can imagine, I was also leading the European region in YPO, and I had a chance in the last 5 years in the board of directors to also be in charge of membership before being chairman. And I traveled to over 60 countries for YPO with the YPO flag. And there's many challenges in established YPO throughout the world. And Lithuania was, I would say, an absolute case study that I take as a lead by example. It is the first time ever, and I've been a YPO for 15 years, that we had a team of people that came to us and say, hey, we're in Lithuania, we think YPO is important, we have 20 qualifying candidates, come to Vilnius, we're going to fix it. So I flew into Vilnius, and I had these amazing 20 entrepreneurs, and everything was all set. And we could start the chapter in a record 6 to 8 months, Regimentas. And the dynamic, let me tell you that those guys carry the flag of Lithuania everywhere in the US, in Africa, and so on, and they've put Lithuania big time on the map of YPO in 130 countries. The energy is amazing. They got 10% of the GDP already of the country within the chapter. They're growing. There's 2 prospect coming up, and those guys are brilliant. And so that I thought in my thought process, wow, if I could get those 20 guys to go and open the 60 countries left that I have, and if they could work for me, it would be beautiful. So I wanted to ask you that today, but I'm not going to ask you because I know that you need them. You're going to say no. Yes. But I just wanted to compliment, because what I understood being in Vilnius is there's something in the Lithuanians about entrepreneurship, about taking care and thinking big. What I think is beautiful is sometimes the easiness for smaller countries to think bigger. And I really want to compliment you and your people for that.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to listen what I saying. And yes, we have treasures in Lithuania, like our history, very rich history, like our historical buildings, especially in Vilnius, old city. We have our next treasury, this is our nature. But the biggest treasure is our people, of course. I am convinced. I am fully agree with that, and I think I don't want to export them.
Thank you. We still have 5 minutes with the president. I'd like to open the floor for some questions, and I see. Let's start with you, and then you, and the last one. So we have 3, 1, 2, 3, and we'll have to close it.
Just a very direct question. We are one of the top electric bus manufacturers in Europe, rated as one of the best electric buses. Let's say we were to move production or add production from Britain to Lithuania. Mm-hmm. Practically speaking, besides all your economic advantages, what else would Lithuania be able to offer compared to the other European countries?
First of all, we have very good taxation system, and our taxes are one of the lowest in the region. As I mentioned, we have very good labor force, and we have education system which is very flexible to the needs of the business. If you need some additional workers, employees who need certain qualifications, even if you will not find them at the concrete place, it's possible because of territorial mobility of those people, possible to find needed number of employees for your company. And they are fast working, fast learning, and probably many of them really have certain talents to speak foreign languages, so there are no problems with communication. Sometimes you will get those problems in other countries, and people speak only their own languages, and this is quite important if you have to communicate. And of course, we have very good instruments for greenfield investment. We created a lot of industrial parks and free economic zones in the country. Some of them are fully overcrowded already. In Kaunas, this is the second largest city in Lithuania. Klaipėda, Šiauliai, almost in all larger cities we have free economic zones. There you can enjoy the certain tax privileges, from profit tax privilege, for example. You have infrastructure right here, all communications, and this is very good instrument to attract foreign investment. It proved to serve well since 2015, 2016, and we attracted a lot of big names into Lithuania because of that.
Thank you. We're soon running out of time, please.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate Lithuania for being the leader in the fintech industry. You've definitely lead the conversation in the whole region. But how on the governmental level you keep on continuing the advancement of the whole industry? What do you think is the 5-year plan for that?
Simonas, maybe you can help me. You are sitting and listening, probably make your job too.
I think we offer great decision making, so we can issue license in 3 months, and the European countries, the average is 1 year or so. So we are fast, we are efficient, and we give all the consultancy needed for newcomers. So that's a competitive edge. Of course. Yes, we can also connect to the whole European payment system via the central bank payment system.
Very last question, because we're running out of time.
Okay. Very big honor for me to be here. I sit on the board of a new bank in Hong Kong. This was created in August this year. As this person who's sort of seen how banks are built and governed, what do you think about the ability to build new types of banks for the green economy, especially around the carbon economy and sort of sustainability in general? Thank you.
Yes, we are right now in the process of considering of a new taxation, and probably we must have the complex program how to go green, and in sometimes probably taxation of the activities which are not friendly for the environment could be one of the solutions too. But I don't believe in the measures which are related to additional costs, taxation. I believe in the stimulus policy. We have to stimulate the green economy instead of punishing some certain activities because they are not very green right now. But we can go both ways, but priority should be on the side of motivation.
Thank you. Mr. President, thank you so much for taking your precious time to visit us this morning in the YPO Davos Hub. Thank you.